saying that, depending on my disposition, depending on my personality, I've repeatedly been saying that, right? That denotes that there are certain risk factors for the development of a panic disorder. These risk factors can be a history of family history, a family history. So whether there is a genetic loading on this or not, while we have some evidence, it's not really conclusive. But what I believe happens is that even if there is no genetic loading, if I'm an infant or a baby and my mother is prone to panic attacks, then that's the only response to stress that I will see growing up. So I internalize that response, which looks like a genetic transfer, because people might say, oh, mother ko tha to bacche ko bhi hai, but maybe it's not a genetic component. Maybe it's because I've so deeply internalized that response that it becomes. So family history is a very important risk factor, because the way you see your family resolving conflicts, that's the way you learn to resolve them as well, very, very subconsciously. Second is any major life stressors, sudden death or something like that, that can also lead to a panic situation. I'm saying a panic situation because to diagnose it as a disorder, it has to happen over a continuous period of time. A traumatic incident, like I mentioned, it can be an accident, it can be an abuse situation, any of those things, something which is very, very traumatic. And when I say traumatic is an event where something was happening to me and I was not able to do anything about it. If I have an accident and if I'm able to, maneuver the car or something like that, get out of the car in time, even if I'm hurt and everything and, the car is totaled, I may not be traumatized. But if I was not able to do anything in that situation for some reason, for any reason, and that usually happens with abuse victims when, they are younger and they don't really have control over the situation. When you don't have control over a situation, when it's happening to you, then it becomes traumatic. Not same incident occurring over two different periods of time does not become traumatic, because helplessness factor may not be there. So trauma, then major changes in life can also sometimes bring about panic disorders, like a divorce or a new baby in the family. That can also bring on panic disorder. Like I'm one of my trainees, she had a case where this man, he lost his father, and then within a year he got married again, and then within a year of that he had a child also. This man was only 24 years old. So now he's managing the family business, and he's managing a wife, and he's managing a child. He started having panic attacks, and he had no clue why it was happening. Right? So major life changes do affect. Excessive caffeine intake can also sometimes precipitate a panic attack like situation. If you've had too much coffee in one go and your body is not used to it, you may experience symptoms like nausea, dizziness, the racing heart, sweaty hands, palms, which was very, very similar to the panic attack picture.
Right.
And then history of abuse, of course, can lead to panic attacks. And if the victim has repressed completely the memory of the abuse, then the panic attack may seem like it's coming out of nowhere. In fact, with panic attacks, that's usually the case. People will come and tell you, I don't know kahan se ho jata hai. I'm on the metro, I'm traveling, and suddenly I have a panic attack. Or I'm sitting in a party chit chatting with my friends, suddenly I have a panic attack. वहां तो कोई reason ही नहीं था, मैं तो कुछ सोच ही नहीं रहा था. But it's a very subconscious trigger to that. So these are the risk factors. You talked about the long-term picture. I'm assuming you're talking about the prognosis. The prognosis is pretty good, especially if the person has had good pre-morbid functioning, like before the disorder began. If they were a well-adjusted, well-functioning individual, there is a very good chance of recovery. In fact, with proper treatment, within 6 months, only about 10 to 20% people still report symptoms. In almost 65 to 70% people do recover very well. It's just that they will just have to become, and therapy does that. It makes you aware of your triggers, and in future they just have to be more mindful of those triggers so that it doesn't relapse. But recovery rate is pretty good. 65 to 70% is the recovery rate with therapy.